Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Rose Wrights and I write and narrate Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction. If you have missed the previous 9 parts, I will link them in the description box below, so go check those out. Without further ado, Happy With You, Chapter 10, Holding Hands. Another day of school. All students were anxiously awaiting their winter break, but they were still a few weeks out. Unfortunately, Lila Rossi was back from her stay at Johnny Depp's private island that was so exclusive she couldn't provide its location to anyone. Yeah, right. Marinette rolled her eyes as Lila disclosed to everyone that Johnny Depp was currently writing a movie in which the female protagonist is based off of her and her alter ego, Vulpina. But you can't tell anyone, okay, lovelies? Her eyes crinkled in amusement as she blew a kiss to the entire class. The entire class responded with things like, "Wow, that is so cool," and "You got it, Lila, our lips are sealed." Marinette thought. The people who believed this must only have 2 brain cells. She, Alia, and Adrien looked unimpressed. They have been there, done that with Lila. Lila is the one that got Marinette expelled from school last year. She couldn't believe people were still eating out of her filthy little lying palms. Students were rushing out of the classroom to go eat wherever they pleased as the lunch bell rang. Marinette saw a devilish look in Lila's eyes. She was up to something, but Marinette didn't know what. Adrien and Marinette quietly made lunch plans that consisted of going to their favorite Italian cuisine restaurant. She excused herself. "I'll meet you outside, okay?" She gave a petite smile that sent Adrien's heart racing. "Sure, I'll be there." He gave her a boyish grin, and then Adrien and Lila were the last 2 in the classroom. But Adrien paid her no attention, which burned Lila up inside, like acid being thrown on her already shriveled heart. She approached the model with a conniving gaze. "Hi, Adrien," she cooed. Not looking up from packing his things and gathering the papers that were still scattered on his desk. "Hey," he responded curtly. He didn't want anything to do with her or her atrocious lies. She made a pouty face that he didn't even register. "Earth to Adrien, didn't you miss me? I've been busy being Johnny Depp's muse for at least 4 months. She appeared hurt that Adrien didn't care that she left, and he didn't care that she was back. Sorry, Lila." He apologized just to seem polite, but he wasn't sorry at all. He couldn't wait to get out of there. "I have lunch plans with Marinette, so if you'll excuse me." She flinched at the mention of the baker's daughter's name. Adrien turned swiftly to exit the classroom. "Wait, Adrien!" She nearly screamed. Adrien stopped at the threshold, but didn't turn to face her. She sauntered over to him and took one of his thin hands in hers and spun him around. Shocked was an understatement. "Adrien, I love you. Please don't leave. Stay with me. I meant to tell you how I felt before I left, but I was so frightened you'd reject me." She looked at him whilst biting her lip seductively. She moved uncomfortably close to his face. "Be with me. We belong together. You can't really love Marinette Dupin-Chang." She scoffed and rolled her eyes. She pulled his hand to her chest, almost atop her breasts. Unbeknownst to them, Marinette was outside the classroom. She returned when Adrien was nowhere to be found outside of school. She wanted to check on him. Her face burned at Lila's declaration of love, hoping Adrien didn't fall for it. He took 2 steps back, pulling his hand from her death grasp. "Lila," he said, collecting himself. "Humor me. What do you even like about me?" This should be good, he thought. "What do I like about you?" she echoed. "Oh, Adrien." She let out a giggle. "What's not to like? You are Adrien Agreste." She said this as if he didn't even know his own name. "You are a gorgeous model. Your father is Gabriel Agreste, fashion icon and business tycoon. Every guy wants to be you, and every girl wants to be with you." She gushed over Adrien. He stared at her silently, his stare burning a hole right through her. "And here lies the problem," he said with a darkness spreading to his stunning green eyes. "What are you talking about?" she said, trying not to sound annoyed and failing. "You only like me because of the clout you may receive. You like me for all of the superficial reasons. My status, my job, my father. You like the idea of paparazzi swarming you and having power by being popular in digital media. But you don't like me. You don't know anything about me as a person. I am more than all of those things. I don't date girls who like my status more than they like me." His eyes narrowed as his voice moved into a hushed tone, which was somehow more intense. "I see," Lila said, devoid of emotion. "Then I have bad news for you, Adrien. As long as you are in the public eye, no one will ever like you for you. You are a pretty face, and that's all you will ever be." She was clearly hurt about being rejected and was attempting to hit him where it hurt. Unfortunately for her, he knows he is more than his looks or any of those things. "That's not true, Lila!" Marinette came storming into the classroom as if she hadn't been eavesdropping for the majority of this conversation. "Marinette?" Adrien's eyes grew wide, but Marinette didn't even acknowledge that he had uttered her name. She made a beeline for Lila and poked a finger into her chest. "How dare you! Adrien is the most amazing person I have ever met. He is selfless and kind. He is way more than a pretty face. He goes out of his way to help people. He is a great listener and he gives the best hugs. His favorite color is orange like his tennis shoes, and his favorite food is sushi. Any kind of sushi. He secretly likes anime and rom-coms, especially when he's had a bad day. Adrien is always there for his friends, and he stands up for what's right. If you can't see all of the amazing things about him, then you don't deserve him. I love him. I love him with or without his status. I love him because he's Adrien." Had she really just said that? Oops. She could feel her face prickling with heat, but she wouldn't let Lila see a chink in her armor. Lila was staring with her mouth gaping open, utterly speechless. "What are you waiting for, Lila? Get lost!" She ran out of the classroom nearly in tears. Even after she left, Marinette stood facing away from Adrien, fists clenched tightly at her side, waiting for the adrenaline to subside. Adrien was the first to break the foreboding silence. "Wow, Marinette," he spoke tenderly, as if not to spook her. "Thank you for defending me. Did you really mean what you said?" Her fists clenched even harder. Her nails were pinching her skin, but she barely noticed. What should she say? She couldn't deny it. She really did feel this way, but she had no intentions of telling him yet. Or maybe telling him ever, for that matter. I did mean it. Every word," she mumbled cautiously. "I love you, Adrien." She was still facing away from him. This wasn't the first time a girl had said these words to him, but it was the first time it ever made his heart beat like a drum and send a lump to his throat. His lips and throat suddenly felt dry. He approached the girl who still wouldn't look him in the eyes. He placed a hand on her shoulder and gingerly spun her to face him. She picked her head up to meet his gaze, as he was much taller than she was. "Adrien, I'm sorry for everything Lila said to you. I just wanted you to know that I think you're amazing. I always have ever since you gave me your umbrella in the storm. Do you remember?" She doubted he would remember. After all, just because it was significant to her doesn't mean it was to him. Of course. He captivated her with his shy smile. "It closed on you too. That was funny." He let out a small chuckle. "Wait, He stopped. You've liked me since then? That was over a year ago. Yeah. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because, I always stutter around you and I'm madly clumsy. I stumble over my own feet. If I can't manage a normal conversation, how can I tell you things like that? I didn't intend to tell you today, but I couldn't stop myself. Her gaze returned to the ground in embarrassment. I wish you would have told me sooner. He also looked at the ground. At that comment, her eyes shot up. Why? Her face burned. So I could have held you longer and had more time to fall in love with you. He locked eyes with her, and there was something unspoken in the air. Marinette could feel the love he felt for her, and then, I love you, Marinette. That was it. She was sure of it. However, as happy as she was, something made her feel disgruntled. The love she also felt for Cat Noir, that was still sending her stomach into a million butterflies when he was around. But Adrien loved her, Marinette. That was what she always wanted. She could sort through her feelings later. For now, it was just her and Adrien, and he loved her. Those were the sweetest words she had ever heard. He gently took her waist and brought her in close. He dropped a kiss on the top of her head and whispered, I love you. I'll always love you. Lunch was almost over, and parting was such sweet sorrow. She placed her hand on his chest and kissed the corner of his beautiful smile. When she pulled away, it was a nice change to see him flustered for once. He touched his face where her lips had lingered. I love you more, she whispered, embracing him and taking in this moment. She etched it into her brain, afraid of waking up. But this wasn't a dream. This was reality, and it was nothing short of perfection. Thank you so much for listening to Chapter 10 of Happy With You. If you liked what you heard, please give this video a big like and subscribe. As always, stay miraculous!